Hey guys, welcome to YOLO with ToLo. Okay, so it looks like Lonnell is traveling. He's in DC for some business. And so he just froze up there for a quick moment. So we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. But welcome everybody. We'll try this again. Hey Kev. So wait for Lonnell to add us and then we'll try again. Okay, here you go. This week's topic, by the way, is the power of you, how to discover and use your powers and talents and the powerful you for good. So let's see, Lonnell, let's see if I can add you. I see that you're watching us here. Let me see if I can add Lonnell. Okay. Let's see if this works here now. But anyway, welcome again. Sorry about some of the technical difficulties that we've been experiencing here. Lonnell is traveling, so his schedule's been a bit wonky. He's in DC. And this week's topic is all about you, the power of you, and how to discover and use your powers and talents for good. Let's see if I can get... Okay, Lonnell, I do not see you on here. Let's see if we can try to get you on here. Okay, Lonnell, it says you're watching, but I can't add you for some reason. Okay, here you go. As you know, they happened, but it looks like we're connecting. Hey,
okay,
you.
I'm back. I'm not touching this doggone phone again until we're done.
Do not touch your phone.
I tried to see comments and then suddenly everything just froze. I am so sorry. One day.
It's okay. I can see the comments from here.
Okay. Well, now I can
Things
see
happen.
them. I don't know
it's
what
all
happened
good.
before.
Go with the flow.
Okay. Hey. All right, so let's use some of these
So you're
powers
in
for
DC.
good because I need to shift my energy right now. So.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
We're now back to regularly scheduled programming. Okay, so you're in DC. You can't tell us why, not even giving us a hint.
No, but let's just say I was just able to support a friend that's got something major being unveiled here in a few days.
Okay, so maybe you'll share with us next
week.
Maybe you'll tease. Maybe you'll tease on a Facebook photo that a photo with someone.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able
to. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. I don't know if you were able to share there, but if not, then that's all good. Don't touch your phone.
I'm not touching that thing. But I'll try to share from this device. Let's see if that works. But go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay, go ahead and share from this device. You want me to give people an update on what's going on. So we're so excited that you guys are here today. Lonnell always talks about how in life, he believes that, hey, Joanne Handy says, hey.
Hey, I see Joanne. Hey, love.
Hey, okay, so you see. So it's funny that this whole conversation, the last episode, we're episode like 15 now. Kevin says in 20 years, Kevin, our production coordinator, says 20 years from now, we'll laugh at all the technology problems we had today. Look, I'm just amazed that we're able to talk to electricity on some random device that I would only see back in the day in Judy Jet. Remember the Jetsons?
Yep.
Most of the people that are watching that are like millennial-ish probably don't even know. But anyway, it was a cartoon robot family, and they had the robot maid, and that the maid would talk to other devices, could talk to somebody through a device, and we're like, that would never happen.
That would never happen in the real world.
But anyway, we're saying that everything happens, that's supposed to happen to teach us something, so it's all good. But this week we're talking about the power of you, and isn't it funny how naturally the progression of all the themes, it's not themes that we like single-handedly chose, rather YOLO with ToLo is just conversations to help get you through challenges, so that you can love the life you live more. And we talked about change, personal, professional, spiritual change. Then we talked 2 weeks ago about grief, and then so much engagement on that one. Rosie the robot, that was the name of it, Kevin. From the Jetsons. And then last week we talked about surviving grief. And then naturally, it was so weird that this week, the conversations that we've been having both on Facebook and just in person have all kind of revolved around, not only surviving grief, but now what? Right? Like a new sort of reality. And you come up from the ashes when you lose a job or you lose a loved one or whatever it is, right? And just moving forward. And like, as Maya Angelou says, there's always a rainbow in the clouds. I love that. That's one of my favorite quotes, right? And so several people actually, if you look on the reviews, thank you so much for the people that have, you know, wrote such heartfelt reviews so far on our YOLO With ToLo Facebook page. I mean, like, I literally teared up reading them.
Very nice stuff. Very nice. Very humbling.
Oh,
and it is
it's
all about, I love this week's topic because it is all about the power of you. And that's just a continuation. And I think the whole theme of all this with grief is that that's not just a one-time thing. It's not a thing where you should just get stuck in one particular space. Like any other part of life, it's a continuous process. And there are different levels and different stages of it. Exactly.
Yes.
So I love that part about it.
Yeah, me too. And so we just decided this week, based on what we do every week, is we just look at the questions and comments and are mindful and pay attention to the conversations we're having with people. And we come up with a theme just kind of together. It just organically happens. And so this week, it's all about the power of you and how to really shine. And, you know, you and I mentor a lot of people. I met Tao. Tao was on just a moment ago. So Tao, one of your mentees that I met in Atlanta a few weeks ago when I was there. I always tell my mentees that, you know what, we were all born gems, right? Like, think of a diamond. We were all born gems. And we go through so much in life, our experiences, if you will, I believe that we get dusty over time. Like, you know, like dirt falls on us as we get dragged through dirt and through mud, through the experiences and the breakups and the job losses and losses of loved ones, that sometimes we don't shine anymore. And it's so important to have people that help you shine. Right. And thank you so much for being here for me every Wednesday for the last 3 months doing that. Wow. And thank you so much, everybody that has joined.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's really about your tribe. It's really about, you know, like you were saying, you're born like this shiny diamond. And then through the years, the universe gave us this whole thing called free choice. Well, somebody way back in the day must have said, "Oh, ego,
free will."
Yeah, and so free will. So that means I'm in control, and that whole ego thing has tarnished, and through the years, throughout your journey, it tarnishes that shine. And then life, you know, has its experiences. Some of us are beaten up by it, but you have to be reminded. You have to always return to that place where you mentally, so that you understand. No, I am a shining diamond. I am a perfect expression of who I am supposed to be for this world of this universe. And you need people around you to remind you of that. And sometimes, for me, I know even through grief has been a part of that reminder. Like losing people that were really important to me, like my grandmother, losing the friend that I had that committed suicide last year, reminded me, one, that, you know, life is short, and that I need to, you know, it's a serious reminder that I need to be in the moment and understand just how powerful and great I am. And the suicide thing is really big. I know that's the big topic now with the designer, Spade, who just committed suicide. Yeah. You look at her story on the outside and you just think, oh, she's got it made. She's, you know, but you never know what kind of burdens people are carrying, and you have to be mindful of that. We're so eager to like tear people down on social media. Quick story, quick example of this. Just today, Love B. Scott is a friend of mine, and he's got a very popular platform. And he posted about Kim Kardashian going to the White House and petitioning for this woman to be pardoned. And people, of course, were just ripping her apart in the comments, which I usually don't even pay attention to. But I went in there and I said, you know what? She probably should, you know, I don't necessarily agree with all of her tactics or whatever, but she probably should be commended for this particular act. And people started attacking me for defending her. I'm like, see, this is the problem with this with us. It's like, you can't, when someone that you don't typically agree with and they do something that you should be proud of, or, you know, you're still questioning their motive. And I'm not saying her motives were pure or whatever. She may have an ulterior motive. I don't know. But the fact that she was instrumental in getting this to happen should be acknowledged. And it just goes back and forth to say, like, okay, people still don't necessarily want to even give, you know, our discourse, I think, is so vitriolic. You don't even want to give props when they're due. And I think we have to move away. We just have to move away from that. And if we were reminded of our true selves and that shiny diamond as a child, you wouldn't revert to attack mode all the time.
Yeah, totally. Which brings me to today's first segment, Tolo's Hot Topics. You brought up a little bit about Kate Spade, a famous designer. I don't know how many of you guys are big fans of Kate Spade. Hey, Kim Coyle. Kim is a dear spirit, soul sister of mine, and we were devastated. We were together when we heard about Kate Spade's news about the apparent suicide. It looked like there have been reports that she had hanged herself with a scarf in her home, and she has a 13-year-old daughter, and I guess her husband was in the home. And then I just read, as I was preparing for today's chat, the latest update, I think in the New York Times, said that the husband had no clue that, at all, that she was in such despair. I know, Kim, so sad. And so it just so, it's piggybacking off of what you just said about Kim Kardashian is, everybody goes through their own challenges. I don't care if you're Kim Kardashian or you're Donald Trump or you're Oprah Winfrey or you're Toan and Lonnell or you're like everybody goes through their own challenges. And, it's so easy to point fingers, and especially through social media, like the trolls hiding behind their fake monikers or whatever. But, if we were just all all realize that, hey, that, just like you and I, everybody, I love this quote that I heard recently. Actually, it was from a Super Soul Sunday conversation with Jay Williams, the NBA star that plays with the Bulls. And he had said, he had said that, there's different people that when you go through different challenges that you're facing, it's so surprising that there's people that didn't show up for him, like his good friends, for example. When he was down and out, they didn't reach out to him when he was in the hospital from his accident that he almost died in. So anyway, there's a lot of different levels of shade. But once you realize that, we're all in this together, we all get up in the morning, we all, one step at a time, get out of bed. So it's just really sad to see all the shade that's being thrown out there. But with this whole situation here, it hit me really hard because this weekend was also the death anniversary, the first year that my brother-in-law had committed suicide. So it was just Saturday of this past Saturday, a year ago, that my sister and my 8-year-old niece found my brother-in-law in the room, and he had shot himself. And so my sister called me last week, and she was like, it's going to be a really hard weekend, Toan. Can we do something together? And I was like, well, every time we do something together, it is a celebration of life. Of Chris's life, my brother-in-law's name is Chris, of the kid's life, my niece and nephew. And so we decided to honor his life, and we went hiking because he inspired us to love nature and love adventure. So we went out hiking to Land's End here in San Francisco and just made a beautiful day out of it. And it just reminded me that, it's okay to be sad. And like we talked about through surviving grief, it's okay to be sad, but it's also, we got to move forward eventually. And it's cyclical. It comes around and around again, and you just you learn how to deal with it. And it's just so sad that with Kate Spade, people think that Kevin shared a quote, our production coordinator shared a quote from Chelsea Clinton that roughly said something like something about how it doesn't matter how outside perceived success or financial wealth or fame or whatever, everybody goes through those different challenges. It just kind of hit me this weekend with the death of my brother-in-law. And, Lonnell, I'm not gonna lie, last week, 2-3 times in the middle of the night, I woke up it's kind of between 3 and 4, I woke up and thought about Chris, and I got sad for a moment, and then I woke up and I was just but my nephew told me, he's 13, Drew, and I asked him, how are you doing, buddy? And he was like, Uncle Toan, just because Dad dying, him dying isn't all a bad thing. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And it was so wise coming from a 13-year-old. And he goes, well, I get to hang out with family more. And there's experiences that I hadn't experienced back in Florida that I get to experience back in Sacramento now. And I think that when death happens, you and I always talk about, everything that happens to you is here to teach us something. And what that's taught me is, what? There's an expiration date to us all. I mean, thank God there is, because I don't want to be 150 and not be able to move, my body and not be able to get up and go to the bathroom. But it makes me want to live life even more now, because why do you have to wait till you have like a death sentence in order for you to really like fully live life? You know, Kevin says a reminder that quote success does not equal happiness.
Right.
Depression does not care about your age, status. This is a quote from Chelsea Clinton, or bank account.
How do you feel, or do you actually feel the presence of his spirit now when you do these things? And if so, how does that show up in your life?
You know, that's a really good question. You know, just because you pass away, people's energy is still with you, like the things that they've taught you. And I think energy-wise, because you and I always talk about energy, is sometimes I feel like, you know, I think of something and then I just am like, oh yeah, that's Chris's energy right there. You know, so I still feel like they're around. And you know, I don't know what you know about, think about dreams, but my sister had said that on their anniversary, when he had proposed to her like a month ago, he gave her red roses or something, and so in the dream he gave her a bunch of red roses.
Wow.
Recently.
Yeah,
and then the new home that get this.
Go ahead.
In the new apartment that they're in Sacramento, the next morning when she woke up, red roses creeped through the fence. She didn't know there was a road bush on the other side.
No coincidences, you know? With that. I totally believe in
yeah.
that. I've even had someone,
right?
And we can maybe talk about this in another show, but I've actually had someone have messages, you know, what they call it, a medium. Not a Miss Cleo psychic, ghetto psychic, but actually a real
not Miss Cleo.
And it made me a believer. But yes, that's powerful,
yeah.
And I'm glad that you're still honoring him. I'm glad that you got.
Yeah, we have to honor each other. And you know, I know there's a lot of anger. I talked to one of his best friends just yesterday, and he was like, you know, let me remind you that Chris, we didn't lose him. He left us. You know, and you know, it's okay if you're feeling angry.
Right.
It's okay if you're going through your emotions. That's great. But you know, find a way to think about the positive things that have happened and figure out a way to not let it kind of not let you feel the joy and the warmth and the kindness and the love and, you know, from other people.
Feel the kindness and love from other people. That's a great takeaway. Feel the kindness and love from other people.
But in terms of, you know, I felt like as soon as I share Chris's story, so many people have reached out to share their stories. And in terms of our, you know, going into our next segment here, the segment 2, the dumping the hump, where we talk about how to get through our challenges. The challenges, I think, that you, no matter what you're facing, helps you grow into, I believe, a better person. And like one of my favorite quotes is, when my sister is actually, since we're talking about my sister, she played one of the Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz back in high school, and Glinda the Good Witch that was one of my favorite quotes, and it's roughly something like, you know, Dorothy, you've always had the power.
Right.
You know, and when I was younger too, I remember thinking that. I was like, oh my God, that's so much power in that, because if you think about it, there's only one you. Even if you're twins, it's like you have your thoughts, you have those special fingerprints, you have your special platform on how you can kind of connect and help other people.
Right.
And so it's like, you do you. And I love telling stories through quotes, or gleaning kind of quotes from different stories, if you will. One of my other favorite quotes is, you know, you are you. That is your superhero power.
Mm-hmm.
And my hope is that no matter what you're going through, whether it's like a suicide or, you know, me losing 4 family members in a year's time, back in 2000, you know, I honestly was mad at God, and I was like, you know, why would you do this? And instead, I started to see all the kindness that came out of people offering us so many things, from you know, spending time with us,
right,
to making sure that, you know, we had meals, that I saw that God was in them. And I think that the people that passed away, there's a sense of spirit and God in, you know,
right.
in them.
I think quotes, like you were saying at the top of this, quotes are a great way to dump the hump. Affirmations, or constantly having something around you that just kind of puts you back in. It's like a daily recalibration of your spirit. And I think quotes are a great way to dump the hump, or positive things. Sometimes I'll have them on my mirror. Sometimes I'll
Yep.
have them on my phone. I get the bowl of sake every day now. Oprah told me to get
That's
that, and
really
then
good
I started
feedback.
reading it. I was like, oh, this is pretty
That's
awesome.
good tips. Yeah. You know, Wayne Dyer had a quote on his bed frame that the late Wayne Dyer, who's a popular author, spiritual teacher, that said, you know, good things are around the corner or
Right.
something like that. And I'm a big proponent of, you know, setting a reminder on your phone to be grateful, or putting Post-it notes, you know, on your mirror, and just to remind you how awesome you are. And also for good friend Kala, who one time I remember I was telling her that I didn't want to eat something because I felt fat, and I was ridiculed by two family members when I was younger. I said, you're fat and you're ugly, older Asian family members. And because, you know, Asian folk, they, you know, there's no filter there. And so I'm this American kid, and I'm like, you know, I just really swallowed it all. And I grew up thinking that here I was like fat and ugly my whole life. And so Kala said, she pulled the car over and stopped. And I don't know why we're talking about roses so much today, but she was like, you see those roses? Those roses are how people see you. And that really made me like stop and take a deep breath, because I feel like that's what you and I do for each other, not just every Wednesday, but you know, that's what you and I do for each other every time we talk,
Right.
or spending time with people who fill you up. I mean, Kim, who's watching here, Kim Coyle, we always talk about like been talking a lot about recently about how, like, when you hang out with somebody, how does your energy feel? After you hang out with them. Like after I hang out with you or talk to you, I'm on cloud nine for like hours of days on end, right? And then some people you hang out with or you talk to for like 10, 15 seconds, and you're like, oh,
Right.
hell no.
Right.
And you just feel icky, or you're so pissed off, you know? And it makes me realize like life is too short. We're talking about, you know, death today, and what to glean out of it and how to survive it. And I just think that without death, I think without an expiration date, I don't know, you wouldn't live life to the fullest.
Right. And you wouldn't appreciate it. And
Yeah.
you need to
And
appreciate it. But it's better to
yeah.
appreciate it now, or to let people in your life know that they're appreciated, that they're loved. Let them know
Yes.
now. Don't,
Yes.
wait until they've passed on and then try to jump in their casket
Yeah.
and put on a show at their funeral. Do it now. Give them their roses now.
Yes. Or write that letter to somebody now.
Right. If it's put on your heart and
right?
your spirit, then that's for a reason, for you to execute that thought. Right.
Yeah. You know, I also had a friend who was going through her really good friend was going through a loss of a husband, and they had a couple kids together. And my friend Kate said, what we did was we showered her with love. We had a little get together where we had dinner and we sat around. She sat in the middle and the girls sat around in a circle and just started talking about, telling her what they thought about her. And I think we forget that sometimes because we're going through our regular, rigmarole and daily suffering, that we totally forget, about those
And
things that
another
are
thing
really,
you can do to dump the hump
make us us.
quickly is just random acts of kindness. Just do something nice for a stranger. Sometimes it could be as simple as a smile, or just acknowledging someone. Just like someone walking in the world, you don't know what weight they're carrying on their shoulders that day. And just a simple gesture of saying hello. I know sometimes people don't even say hello anymore. Good morning.
Yes.
That might be the only good morning acknowledgement they get that day. So something just as simple as doing a random act of kindness to a stranger or to someone that you know is huge.
I love that. Which segment 3 is Talk to Tolo.
Yes, my favorite.
So, okay. So talk to us. Tell us what your thoughts are. We want to crowdsource some wisdom. But can you tell me the story about the woman with cancer that you saw at Starbucks, just to tell people again?
The woman this is a couple years ago. So I went there to meet a friend, and this lady was there with him. And so we were talking, and she revealed that she had been diagnosed with cancer, and I could just see in her eyes how freaked out she was, how scared she was. I just saw fear all over her. Whole presence was just fear. And I just basically, we were talking, and I said, listen, you don't know me from a can of paint, but this is what I feel about you. You're having this energy of fear, and I believe I believe you're strong and you're beautiful and you've got a lot to still offer this world. So you have to make a choice. You either need to get busy living or get busy dying. And I didn't think any more. They came through me. I blurted it out. next question, pass the tea, and we all, we kind of engaged in conversation a little longer. And then like 2 or 3 years later, she hit me up on Instagram. And I was like, hey, yada, yada. I didn't exactly remember who she was when she first hit me up. And she said, we met at Starbucks, and you gave me some life-changing advice, and I chose to get busy living. I was like, and you were still here. And look at your whole energy is, even through my Instagram direct message, I can see that your whole outlook has changed, and you're not operating from that space of fear.
I love that. And didn't you tell her to choose faith or choose fear?
Yeah, that was part of the conversation. Yeah. It's either or.
Yeah.
You can't choose both. You can't worship two opposing beliefs and expect to find peace.
Yeah. So
it's faith or fear. You can't have both.
Yeah. I love that, because fear and faith can't live in the same space. When you told that story, I think it was really early on in this conversation that we've had. A friend of mine from the UK was watching, and it's a friend of mine that just turned 40 recently, works at a really big company, has a big title, but super big stress and super miserable. Right. And she was like, when I'm 40, this was a year and a half ago that she was turned 40. And she was like, I'm going to quit this job, and I'm going to move, and I'm going to finally live, blah, blah, blah. And then she was just so scared that she would choose fear. And she heard that, and she goes, it's sort of been her mantra now. It's like, choose faith or choose fear, choose faith or choose fear. And she said that she started to take some steps to kind of move forward in her life. And that's the power of words. Right. And things, I believe, since we're talking about, death today, and like you finally doing you, don't wait. Like, please don't wait till you get a death sentence to live. Please don't wait till whatever happens to you to live. Listen to these stories and listen, listen to your heart and move forward. But yeah, so her energy is totally different now.
Right.
And thank you for sharing that, because that really impacted her. And
she understands her power. She's taking it back. She's taking back her power. You have to understand that the power of you lies within you. And it's just that simple. And you just have to access it. It's always there waiting for you. You cloud it up with all these things, because you decide to take on all this external drama. I must have this by the time I'm 40. I have to be making this amount of money. I have to have this amount of square footage.
Yeah.
It's nice if you do have that, but if you don't have that, you can have that and still be miserable. So if you're not in the flow of your life, then all of that is irrelevant. Hey, Kathy.
Yeah. I mean, look at Kate Spade. If you read, I think she sold her company for like $2.7 billion to Coach like 2 years ago. And like Chelsea Clinton's quote, I mean, like, it's not in your bank, whatever's in your bank account, whatever title you have, we're all going through things. And if you really don't go back into what I call your spirituality, that inner GPS that moves you towards that thing that excites you, and being around people that make you feel good, then you know what, when you go in a room that's filled with smoke, you leave, you smell like smoke. That's the same thing with energy, and I think it's really important. I'm 40 now, and I turned 40 in January. And if I only live another 40 years, if God gives me that blessing, like, life is too short.
Life is too short, baby. You better get busy and enjoy every moment that you can. When you start to operate from that space where you don't believe in lack or limitation, and you know that what's yours is yours, and you're on the right path, and you're pursuing the beat of your heart, you'll be amazed at the blessings that open. Now I just expect it. I'm like, well, universe, you said if I do the work and release it, okay, I'm speaking it and releasing it. Okay, what's the next step? What's the next? I always get there.
Yeah. Thank you, Kathy. Kathy says, YOLO and ToLo, you guys rock. Kathy, we want to hear from you. Let us know how
Kathy
you get through your challenges and how you do you. I mean, like, I always tell people, you do you, boo. And I kind of joke around about it, but I'm very serious, and I have made choices in my life, whether or not, okay, so I'm going to tell you guys something that I haven't told people in public, but back in the day when I started my nonprofit, Go Inspired Go, I got a call from some producers that were like, hey, we have a job opening at this network, and it's like a lot of money, instant fame. And my heart was just like, nah. I had a partner that I just started dating, that my partner now that I love, and people that, that I love in my life that I didn't want to be away from. And just when you're a network a reporter, generally you have summer and winter bag, and you're traveling most of the year. And so you don't see the people that the beloved, your people you love. And to me, that no amount of money can take that away from me. Can, you know, right now we'd be talking to you. I'd probably be on a plane somewhere, traveling or something, you know,
or sitting in a car because.
But you have a lot of autonomy though. So
yeah,
but
I make it
anyway,
happen,
it's just yeah, right. And so, you know, as we close here, just I'd love to hear from you in terms of, I know you lost your dad. We both lost our fathers, and with Father's Day coming up now, how does death help you live more?
For me, it was forgiveness with the particular situation with my dad. Once I was able to really, and it took about 12 years to get there after he passed, but once I got to the place of forgiveness, now I can celebrate him. I can celebrate the things that were good about him, and I forgive him and forgive myself for not knowing the truth of his story before I entered it. I didn't know much about my dad before my life. So forgiveness was huge, or is huge for me, in being able to honor death. Even I had a friend, and Kathy can attest to that, a good friend of mine who was also her brother-in-law, Kathy Albert, taught me so many life lessons, and it was so painful to let him go physically, but now because I celebrate him, I wear his ties to work every day. It's like I carry a piece of him with me all the time. So even though he's not here with me physically, that is my brother, and he will always be in my heart. So okay, my car light went out. But yeah, so that
it's all good. It's time to wrap.
That was probably him saying, "Shut up, child, please." That was
I know,
right? Saying. He was probably, "Child,
that was
please."
crazy.
Yeah. He was like, "Lights out on that."
I know, right? Well, I mean, for me, what I've learned about life is that there's death is that there's so much more life to live. And, you know, I love being in nature and paying attention to nature. And when there are wildfires and like natural wildfires that happen, did you know that like the pine cones have to like combust and open up? The seeds have to like be opened up by fire before it gets replanted in the soil. That's the same thing with like the diamonds have to be under combustion and have to go through all this pressure to really shine. And I see all the challenges in life and death as, you know, kind of like a renewal. It's a time for you to really check yourself. And because this beautiful thing called life can end in the snap of a finger. You can walk outside and get hit by a bus. So I just feel so grateful and blessed that I have found people that really truly bring me joy. I have so many soul brothers and soul sisters, and you that help hold me accountable and make me realize that through my challenges to keep the faith.
Give yourself permission
myself.
to be happy, people, and no matter what the circumstance, give yourself permission to experience joy. That is your birthright.
Yeah. Oh, Kathy says you're making me cry. No, you make
I love Kathy.
I was
because
getting
the person
up.
that I'm talking about was very dear to both of us. So that's why she's So it was very dear to both of us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's, you know, we're talking about the Wizard of Oz. There's I'm glad you're part of my Yellow Brick Road, and that I'm a part of yours, and that you guys are part of our Yellow Brick Road. So if you like what you hear and see, please like our page and share. And we got some exciting things happening. We just can't really talk about it yet. Behind the scenes.
Yay,
but
we're working. And then are we skipping digital detox again?
On purpose.
Okay.
No. We need to actually talk about digital detox like as a full episode. We'll talk about that next time because we're running out of time here. But we love you guys. Thank you so much.
And we will see you
And to
soon.
everybody upstairs that has passed, we know you here.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your love and
cutting my light out.
Yeah, energy with us.
Definitely so.
I know.
Definitely.
All right, love you.
Love you guys. Take care.
All right, love you guys. All right, bye.